Hello and welcome. I'm Jason White, and this is Weird Reads. And today I'm going to be doing a bit of a solo thing for people on YouTube. You'll just be seeing the video, but everyone else, this will also be a podcast episode as well. So basically, what I'm going to be doing is I just want to talk about the year I've had so far doing Weird Reads, the podcast, and all the interviews. And a look ahead, what I'm planning on, including some Patreon updates, and what I've got going for the future. Also, top 5 books that I've read during the summer. I read some really good ones, and instead of going through all the books, I thought I would just condense it into what my favorites were. Just because a book isn't there doesn't mean it wasn't a favorite, but I read some mind-blowing books this summer and in the early fall. So I thought I would comb over them a little bit. So as I mentioned, it's been a great year so far. I've talked to like Jonathan Jans, John Palisano, so many great guests, but we have a lot of really interesting guests coming up in the future. I'm going to save those for a little bit. I want to jump into the Patreon. The only reason why I'm running a Patreon is because it costs money to produce these podcasts. What you listen to, it doesn't cost money to put videos up, record them, and put them up on YouTube, but it does for the podcasts. And I would like to make that a little more even. So I'm not paying so much. Excuse me. So I've set up a few tiers here, and also equipment. Like Patreon so far helped me buy this new microphone, which I absolutely love. So, the upgrades and stuff like that. And, if there ever comes to a point where I have some extra money, I can use it to buy books. So far the plan is everything will feed right back into the podcast and the YouTube channel. And I do plan on making videos again soon, like regular videos. All right. So, getting on to the Patreon here, there's 3 tiers. One of them is very cheap. It's like buying me a coffee a month, and it's about $1 American, about $1.10 somewhere in there. And what you get a fair amount of stuff here. It's the Weird Reads Appreciation tier, and I'll just read you what I got here on my on my description. Thank you so much for your support. Every little bit helps, and the money, as I said, helps pay for the services I use to bring bookish podcasts and videos. So what do you get? You get all the Weird Reads content here, except for the free fiction and the Stephen King stuff. To get the free fiction and Stephen King content together, you can join the Weird Reader tier. So I'll get to that in a minute. So what do you get? You get ad-free episodes because, as you may have noticed, I do run a lot of ads here, and I do that for the exact same reason that I'm running a Patreon. I want the channel to pay for itself, and upgrades and all that fun stuff. So you get ad-free episodes. You'll get a shout-out. You get Patreon exclusive videos and podcast episodes. You can ask me a question and I'll answer it in the Patreon. And so far, that's it. But that's a fair amount of extra stuff that I do. And it's only for $1. And I've been adding to it a lot. So the next tier is the Stephen King Deadlights Club. And for that, for approximately $3 a month, you get a lot of Stephen King content, and of course my thanks. But you get a shout out on the Short Bites, a Stephen King podcast. You also receive extra commentary from me and guests regarding adapted Stephen King short stories. Plus, there's videos and not videos. There's a lot of audio there. It has its own podcast. It's called the Deadlights Club as well. And I record my thoughts on certain short stories and Stephen King related stuff. What else is there? Yeah, that's pretty much about it. So member shoutouts, exclusive content, and of course the ad-free content. So that's the Deadlights Club. And also, if you have any suggestions, feel free to write something down deep down there in the darkness and let me know what you would like to see on here, and I'll add it. Next is the Weird Reader tier, and this is about $5.50 American, around there. All my prices here are in Canadian, so I haven't converted them. It's $6 Canadian, which probably is about 5 something American, and you get everything in this tier. You get plus free fiction, such as this. I gave away the ebook. If you go join now, you can go find that post and download the EPUB for this. Technically for free. But you also get shout outs at the beginning of a podcast episode. You also get access to exclusive videos and podcasts and Patreon only live streams. Now, I haven't done any live streams yet because there's not very many people on my Patreon. But if there ever is a lot of people there and they are interested in me doing a live stream, then I'll do that. I was thinking about hosting book club discussions on there. So you ask me a question and I'll answer it. And you also, as I said, receive free fiction. So just to run down the points here, you get live streams, digital ebooks, member shoutouts, ad-free content, audio Q&As, and behind-the-scenes content, which this tier, Weird Reader, which the Weird Reads appreciation level also gets. It's got its own podcast, and it's called The Weird Reader. And so I hope that some people will join and help me out, especially, most importantly, if you enjoy what I'm doing here. All right, so I'll get into some guests I have coming in the near future. Now, remember, these are just scheduled guests. It's not necessarily meaning that it's going to happen. I've already had to knock back one of them. I was supposed to interview them today, but there's a lot of content to read for this guest, and so I asked to give me a couple more months. I read every book before I go and talk to them. So I'm going to be having Jack Finn. Candice Nola is going to come on the show. Amanda Headley is planned. Glenn Rolfe, Radar DeBoard, and much more. Those are just 5, I believe. Can't count. And yeah, so there's a lot more ahead. And I've also got some lined up for 2026, including Daniel Brom. So yeah, I hope that you guys will hop on board and help me out. You can do so for $1.50, or that's Canadian. It's closer to $1 in American a month. That is dirt cheap, and you get a lot of stuff for that. And like I said, if you have any recommendations of what you'd like to see in the Patreon, because I suck at coming up with these kinds of ideas, just let me know in the darkness there, and I will do my best to apply it. So I do have some future plans for the Patreon as well. I plan on doing more reviews of books and short stories on the Weird Reader tier, and this may include reviews of old science fiction episodes that sometimes come up during interviews. I want to start its own show on the Patreon for the Weird Reader. I want to start talking about The Outer Limits and go through the episodes of that. I was watching the very first episode a couple of weeks ago, and it absolutely blew my mind. And we've talked about The Outer Limits with like Daniel Brom and other guests. I think Mark Allen Gunnels maybe, and other guests, and The Twilight Zone, stuff like that, Tales from the Crypt. So I just want to go into a series. It'll all be on the Weird Reader podcast that you can access through the Patreon, and it'll be exclusive to that. Also, like I said, short stories and whatnot. I want to sort of dig into some short stories, maybe from like Caitlin Kiernan, Thomas Ligotti, stuff like that. And I'll read them and then I'll talk about them. For the Deadlights Club, which is the Stephen King tier, I would love to do a giant Stephen King read-along where we go through all the books chronologically. Now, this is an interesting project, and I might need some people to hop on board with me. I don't know, but if there are people who are willing to join in on that fun, then I'll do it. And there will be a Discord specifically for that, should it happen. As for the Deadlights Club, I plan to discuss Stephen King short stories, novellas, novels, along with movie adaptations and news. So lots of fun stuff coming up on the Patreon. So please join up. You'll get it all for free. Not free. You can join as a free member, but you can get it for dirt cheap and almost free. Just go to my Patreon is... I'm sorry, this sounds so much like an advertisement. But, you know, I don't have very many Patreons, and I would absolutely love it if I had more. And that's at www.patreon.com/Jason_White. That should get you there. The link is always in the show notes, so just go and check that out. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about Patreon now. I'm not usually very good at self-promotion, and so I thought I'd make this video to at least half of the video to be that, and then the next half to be about the books. So top 5 books that I read of summer and fall. Let me see here. All these books except for one is somebody that I talked to. Then one of the books isn't that book. So I'm going to save that for last. I'm going to be one of those pricks. All right, so I'm going to start off at Imposter Syndrome by Mark Allen Gunnels. I had some interesting technical difficulties getting Mark Allen Gunnels on the show, and technically I haven't talked to him yet. So that's supposed to happen tomorrow. But we're to talk about Imposter Syndrome, and I read the book for that interview, and it was an incredible book. The book is exactly what the title suggests it is. It's about a young man he's not young anymore, actually. I think he's approaching middle age, if not middle age. His father was a very well-known writer. He was like one of the most popular writers in the world. And he tried being a writer himself, and he failed. He only failed really because he let himself fail. He suffers from imposter syndrome, and he also suffers from a terrible father. His father is a serious prick to him. And so his father dies, and he inherits the house. He also inherits his father's literary series. The book company, the publisher, the top 5 publisher who published his dad, wants him to finish off the series with the last book that his father had started writing. And so imposter syndrome sort of sinks its awful teeth into his neck and injects its venom into his blood. And it just goes from there. The story, like I said, it's wild. You really don't know what's going on until the end. And even maybe at the end, you don't know. It's very much... You can't trust the narrator at all. There's some alcoholism involved, some suicidal ideation, and very much a lot of imposter syndrome. It's a psychological thriller / horror, and I absolutely loved it. I hope you check it out. It's out now, I believe, and as I can't. All these books are going to make the top 10 of the year. And I don't know where, but they're going to be there. And this one included, of course. Next up is Shit Show by Chris Panettiere. I saw Chris, he was on Instagram, and he requested people to Shit Show wasn't out yet, and he was requesting reviewers for the book. And I said, hey, I'll review your book if I get an e-arc. I'll also have you on my show if you want to talk about it. And he said, yeah. So we got on the show and we talked about it. And Shit Show is a hoot. It's about, I forget the technical name, the sort of technician that the main character is, but he empties the porta potties that you see at work sites and concerts and circuses and whatnot. So that's his job. And people are going missing in the area, and his mother, who's suffering from early onset, maybe not early onset, but she has dementia, and she goes missing, and he takes on a wild, crazy adventure to find her and bring her back home. I'm going to leave it at that. There is a dark carnival in here. It's very much a horror story, and it's, like I said, it's a hoot. It's very funny, but not in a I don't know. I found it very funny, and I enjoyed the humor in it. I kind of went off on that because I know some people don't like comedy in their horror, but I felt it worked very well in Shit Show. I also read Requiem, which makes this list, where I talked with John Palisano. This book hits all the things for me. It's a science fiction story, and it's very philosophical in a sense. Philosophical in the sense of existence, and that age-old question: why are we here? That sort of thing. The premise is. There's a graveyard space station. Yeah, a graveyard in space. And the main character is sent with a crew to go fix it up because there's some broken things on there. And while they're at it, they're going to put on one of the world's biggest pop singers, and she's going to write a requiem for people to listen to while they're visiting their dead. And the song, there's something going on in this space station, something supernatural. And when I say supernatural, I mean, it's like, take those two words, supernatural. It's maybe natural, but it's something we've never encountered before. Is it alien? Is it something else? We don't know, but it's fucking with everything. And this book is really weird. And it's got some kind of scary and gory parts too. I really enjoyed Requiem because of all those, all the space stuff, like the ending. The ending kind of reminds me a little bit of Arthur C. Clarke's 2001, I believe it is. I loved it, and I can't wait to read more from John Palisano. The conversation I had with him was absolutely mind-blowing. It was one of those things or conversations where, my brain was just firing on all, it was sparkling. It was like, psh, psh, like fireworks. I don't get to have those types of conversations in real life at all. So it was fascinating to have him on. I can't wait to have him on again in the future. And Requiem is highly recommended by me. Although don't go in expecting, nasty horror, terribly scary. Expect existentialism to be like the main focus on this story. I think maybe some people went in with the wrong expectations. And so if you go on Goodreads, you'll notice that the rating is a little low for Requiem. Honestly, when I went in, I thought it was going to be space zombies because of the description. When I read the description, I thought immediately space zombies, but there's no space zombies. So keep that in mind while you're reading. And the second last here, so number 2 on my list, is Veil by Jonathan Janz. Jonathan Janz is a guy I've wanted to have on the podcast for a long time, and I first spoke to him on my other podcast, Short Bites, a Stephen King podcast, where we discussed one of Stephen King's short stories from Night Shift. I think it was Night Surf. We talked about that in preparation for It's the End of the World as We Know It, or The End of the World as We Know It, that anthology of the Stand stories that recently came out. So I talked to him there, and then when I was talking to him there, I asked him if he'd mind coming on Weird Reads, and he said, yeah, you know what, we'll do it. And a couple months passed by, and I shot him another message saying, do you still want to come on and talk about Veil? The weird thing that happened was I did not get an advanced reader's copy by Jonathan Janz. I got one from NetGalley. I never get approved for NetGalley, but I was approved for this book and the next book, which was interesting. So I don't know why I was approved for that book, so I ended up writing a review for it. You can find it on NetGalley itself, or you can find it on Goodreads. But I really enjoyed this book, especially, well, the whole thing, honestly. But the first half really had me by the uh, by the nether regions. I just love the premise, the idea of people just disappearing by mass, en masse, like a whole thousands and thousands of people are going missing at the same time, and this itself creates an epidemic. And in this story, we follow the main character. His name is John, and his wife and his son are both taken, and then he's left to survive with his daughter. I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot of interesting things that happen in this book, very interesting things. I think it's best to go in as blind as possible because this book is a roller coaster ride of emotions and so much more. I absolutely, man, I love this book. I don't know, it's going to be tough if it makes number one or not. I think it might, but the next book here really, really blew my mind, and that's Coffin Moon by Keith Rawson. As I said, I got approved for this on NetGalley as well, and I never get approved by NetGalley. Never mind 2 in a row and 2 bigger books. Usually, NetGalley approves me only like with the smaller independent writers, but this one 2 big ones in a row, and I was like, holy, jeez. And I thought about having Keith Rawson on the show, but I noticed he was getting on everywhere. He was on all the podcasts. And I was like, I don't think I have anything else to add to that. So I decided not to. Maybe next time I might try getting him on the show because he sounds like a pretty awesome guy. I listen to a lot of podcasts like this one where people talk to authors because I don't know why. I think it's a great idea, honestly. If you're a writer, you learn a lot. And it's like a slow burn learn. Slow burn learn. That kind of works together somehow. Anyways, it's a slow burn learn, and it's a great way to learn about the craft of writing, to learn about that along with living a real life. It's a great way to learn how people get their stories because almost everyone asks that question that all writers hate: where do you get your ideas from? Except we all want to know where you got that idea from. And I think that's the most important differentiation between where do you get your ideas from and how did you come up with this novel. And I love learning about that. And almost everyone asks that, and I'm glad they do because I think it's an important question. It's interesting. Anyways, Keith Rawson, Coffin Moon. Coffin Moon is a vampire story, and it's a revenge story. It's about a family who after their parents, her parents die, they adopt their niece. I think it's his niece, the male protagonist, and the whole setup is basically about a family. It's his family, his wife. No, it's her family. I forgot about that. It's his niece, but her family, and they live with, or they live near. I'm kind of butchering this, but the basic premise is they operate a bar with her family, the wife's family. I can't remember any of the character names, which is very typical of me. Anyways, so they help run the bar, and his mother-in-law, who's like the owner, along with her husband, the husband has cancer and he's going to die, and so the mother-in-law has a solution to maybe keep him alive. But that involves some sketchy characters who the son-in-law, our main character, our hero, doesn't like because they're bikers and they're dealing drugs in the back room. And he's like, this is going to catch up to us and we're all going to go to jail. Do you really want that? And so he kicks them out. And maybe these bikers weren't human. And maybe they do some terrible things, which leads the father, our main character, and his niece to go and exact some nasty revenge. I've spoiled enough with that terrible synopsis, but it's an awesome book. I did not do it justice. It is really high in contention with Vale and Requiem for the #1 spot. I need to take the next couple of months and think about this. All right, so that's my top 5 books of the summer and early fall. you can email the show at weirdreadspodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what your top 5 reads so far of the year are. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just do so by writing deep down there in the darkness. And I want to thank you all for watching and putting up with my advertising here. I really, you don't need to join the Patreon to help. Just watching and listening helps. Hitting the like button. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can easily help the show by rating and reviewing the show. Doing so lets Apple know there's interest in the show, and they're then more willing to share it with others. So that's the goal here. The goal here is to grow, but I'm having a blast doing it regardless. And I want to thank you for joining me and coming along. And so I'm done here for now. Thank you for listening or watching. And until next time, keep being weird, because weird is so important these days. And keep being creative and safe. Keep being all the things that are positive and good. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast and or video.